Coming to you from sunny Orlando, Florida, welcome to the Paperstac Podcast, where we cover current topics in the note industry, give you tactics for your note business, and talk with industry leaders to make you a better note investor. And now, your hosts, Brett Berkey and Rick Allen.
I'm Brett, and this is Rick right here.
Hey, how are you?
And today we're going to do something probably pretty interesting to a lot of maybe newer investors. Is we're going to talk about all the documents that go with note investing that you need to probably get, or you should at least consider things that you're doing.
What do you mean documents?
I guess I should clarify documents. Due diligence documents.
Big difference.
Big difference. Yeah, like we're ordering a BPO, what to look for in the BPO that's important, an O&E report, what's important there, title policies, title searches, trying to think of some other things.
Tax reports.
And so I really honestly don't know I don't know anything really compared to this with what this guy knows in his head. So I'm going to just ask a couple questions and we're going to go through it. And I want to learn what he looks for as a professional investor in these reports and then these documents that, which is I go to. I know he does a lot of that when we had to do an episode when we were breaking down the assignment. You're saying you look like the notary stamp. Is it one of those little tricks and trades? So I guess what we'll do is we'll start at the beginning. Okay, I'm getting into it, buying a note. I'm on Paperstac. I got my indicative offer made. They accepted it. And I tell the seller, hey, look, you give me a little bit of time. I'm going to go order it. What would I order?
BPO, which is a valuation of the property. And then you want to know how much the property is worth. Somebody do a drive-by, actually lay eyes on it, make sure it's still there. Yeah, that's one.
That's one. And then an
O&E report.
Yeah.
You can do a two-owner search, full foreclosure search. And basically what you're looking for is just within that search, you'll get tax stuff. Are the taxes current? Has anything been sold? I always like to go check and see who's paid the taxes.
How do you do that?
You go to the county website, call up the county, you can do it. Because taxes may be current and it may show as current, but it's sold at a tax auction. So somebody bought a tax lien. And then those people are incentivized to keep paying the taxes because if the taxes look like they're current, they're waiting for their 2 years or however long the redemption period is to come up and then they can file for foreclosure and steal the property. So that's something. Title reports. You want to look for the title reports. Look for liens on the property.
Liens. Okay. That's what okay. And then BPO, you're getting a BPO.
Yeah. Let's start there.
Yeah. Starting at the BPO. What is the most important things you're looking at? And is it always different from different? Is this like a broker's price?
The vendors will lay out the layout of the BPO is different from vendor to vendor, but it all is pretty much the same.
Yeah. Interesting.
You just you'll be familiar with them as you go and you'll just get an idea of, look, the basic stuff is all there. They're going to have several properties, your subject property. They'll have all the bed, bath, stuff like that listed. One of the things I like to do is before I even ever get to the BPO stage is I want to have an armchair valuation, I call it. Like I would be at my desk. I want to see if I can have a value pegged. Right. So I'm looking, because I'm looking at Zillow, Realtor.com, NARPR. We use PropStream, all these different sort of tools that you can use to drill down and look at what is the actual value. When I'm looking on Zillow, I am pulling up when it'll give you a Zestimate. I don't look at the Zestimate. I look at it just to get an idea. That's not what I focus on.
What do you focus on?
I focus on what's actually active for sale in the area. So you can go and adjust the settings. So say, show me what's actively listed for sale.
Okay.
And then I go look at what's sold. And I won't go back. I'll start with 6 months. What's been sold within the last 6 months, back it out to a year, back it out to 2 years. So that way I can see a trend. If the properties are listed at X right now, and 2 years ago they were selling for more, and I can start seeing a little bit of a downtick, then I know, look, maybe it's not the best area to buy in. Versus if you look at it for 2 years ago and you'll see a property that's sold for 80, and then same kind of property sold for 110 12 months later. And right now that same property is selling for 135. Okay, it's looking at the chart. Yeah. See, a lot of times what happens is people will get wrapped up in the BPO and the BPO. BPO is the guy. It's the end all be all. It's the Bible of value. And it's not the Bible of value. You can order 3 BPOs and get 3 completely different numbers. You can.
Yeah.
You can get 3 completely different numbers. And a lot of times you have, they say it's like government contracting. You're going to somebody, to obviously a BPO provider, and they're going to go find the person that provides that service for the cheapest amount. Not all the time, but most of the time, or a lot of the times, you'll get somebody who's going to provide for the cheapest amount. If I'm a real estate agent and I'm selling $2 to $4 million of property a year, am I moving for a $50 BPO?
No.
No. A lot of times what you're getting is you're getting new people in the industry. You're getting somebody who doesn't understand what the hell they're doing, especially right now. During the meltdown, 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, you could do 6, 7 BPOs in a day. That's what you did. That was your job. So you got good at running them. Now, they're not as prevalent. So you don't have somebody who's a pro. So here, you want to go do a BPO. Here's $50.
Right.
So it's like, do you want to have the person that's willing to bid the lowest? You want to put all your eggs in their basket to see the value? So I want to have that value in my head, and then I want to look at what they put. Like you want to be able to peg your value, but still look at the BPO subjectively and not get married to your value. And then you want to look at the comps. Like sometimes they're just like, the comps are just like, they're terrible. And this has actually happened before where we're going to list something and somebody will give us just like a BPO, will get it. And it's just absolutely terrible. Like I'm looking at it and going, man, they blew this thing about 40 or 50 grand. And you go pull up the agent that submitted it. And then you go look at the sales that they've done, and they're working predominantly with investors. And so I'm not saying that they're going to tank your value or trick you into listing it for lower than it is.
Wait a second. So they would say your value is lower.
I've seen it happen, and I don't have honestly proof. I didn't catch them with their hand in the cookie jar. But you look at something and you say, wow, this person's value was like so way off.
And they did it just
maybe deliberately. I don't know. But so you get multiple BPOs. It's if somebody comes in and their value is pretty close to yours, I feel pretty good about it. How many pictures do they provide you? Do they give you some good pictures?
When they're doing the pictures, they're just doing a drive-by, right?
They do a drive-by. They take pictures of the outside, but I've seen some pictures that are like they were doing a drive-by at 60 miles an hour. It's like off out of focus. I'm like, come on.
That's funny. What about they don't get out and check for structural damage of the house? Or
no, they're not going to do that.
Interesting. What are you looking for in the pictures?
What's the front yard look like?
Yeah.
Is there upkeep? Are there freshly planted flowers? The grass being mowed? Are there a bunch of broken down cars in the front yard? Stuff like that. Is there a bunch of trash in the front yard? You want to get an idea of what's going on with it. You got to understand what does the surrounding area look like? Can I get a picture of the house to the right and to the left of it? I had an investor I was right when I got into selling houses, wholesaling that thing, I don't know, 16 years ago. I was going to take a picture of a house out in Deltona, and he's, look, take a picture of the house, but take a picture of the house to the right and a picture of the house to the left. That's what I did. And you want to see what's going on. Ultimately, a BPO is going to be like a snapshot.
Yeah.
So it's a snapshot in time of that value. And that's why it's important to also, I think, look and see the 2 years prior and track and look.
That makes sense. That's interesting. Bottom line, don't take it at its word, but don't take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, it's just a verification process.
So is it even worth it then?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have to do it.
Really?
You want to do it because you can get pretty good at armchairing a value, and you may.
Are you new to the mortgage note industry? Have you been wanting to learn the step-by-step process to purchase your first mortgage note? Well, you're in luck. We've convinced our CEO, Rick Allen, to break down everything he knows about mortgage note investing. Through a series of 50 videos, you'll get everything from start to finish of where to purchase notes, how to purchase notes, and all of Rick's investing techniques he has developed over the many years. From performing note tactics to non-performing notes, Rick gives you everything he knows about investing. Bonuses include our glossary of industry terms, Rick's own proprietary calculators he created to evaluate notes, discounts from our partners, our Rolodex of vendors, a private Facebook group, along with a lot more. We've packed so much content into the Academy to take you from beginner to expert in no time. To learn more about the Academy, go to academy.paperstac.com/welcome. Again, that is academy.paperstac.com/welcome.
The nice thing about a BPO is if you get somebody on the other end who knows what they're doing, it can be a huge asset to you because they can tell you, look, it needs a lot of repairs, it doesn't need a lot of repairs. They can give you an as-is value or a fixed-up value. And what'll happen is as you try different vendors, you'll get to know the ones that they've got some higher quality agents providing BPOs. Really, if you're willing to pay more, you can get a better BPO. You can, if you're one of the people that focuses in a core area.
Yeah.
So you're like, look, which is a great strategy because it's always nice to focus on an area of the country. And you can focus down to a city or even neighborhoods. Like neighborhoods might be a little granular for now, but just a general area. You can start to build a team and boots on the ground. And then you can pick up the phone instead of going through a BPO service, you develop relationships with real estate agents. And once you do a deal with them or 2 deals with them, you can continually call them and you can still pay them and say, look, I'll pay you $7,500. I need a good BPO. Give me a good idea of value.
Interesting.
Because then you've got the personal relation. And so they're able to tell you, ooh, do you want to skip this one? Or yeah, it's a good one. Here are my thoughts.
That's interesting.
Good area of town, bad area of town. I heard of a situation where somebody was using a comp on a house that sold. And the appraiser was like, look, it was the inspector. It was like, I forget who it was. Anyways, they went to take a picture of the house. It was going to be a comp for the hard money lender. And the house was not there. It was gone. It was only going to be a comp. It wasn't the house. But then the property was sold for the land. It wasn't sold for the actual property. And so the person just took a picture of the house next door.
Oh my God.
That's why it's good to build your team.
Yeah.
Build your team. Know who you're working with.
Wow. I'd be pissed.
I did. Ultimately, it didn't end up mattering, right?
No, because you're just getting the land.
Yeah, they're just buying the person. That house had sold for the dirt. They bought the fixer-upper, knocked it over, and they wanted to build a big house there. Somebody else was buying a fixer-upper in the neighborhood and was using that as a comp.
Interesting.
You can't really use it as a comp. It's not comparable. They bought it for the dirt, not to fix it up. So
that's interesting. Okay, good. That's good to know about BPOs. Always get one. Always have a group on the ground.
Yeah, and then look at the comps. Like when you're getting to the BPO and you're looking over it, you're going through it, don't just look at the number and say, oh, it's worth 100 as is or worth 150 fixed up. 90-day quick sale is 90,000. Don't just look at that. Look at the comps that they're using. Make sure that they're verifying it. Pull the comp up. Google the address, right? Dig into the comps and see what's going in there. You'll learn a lot about a comp if this is the comparable and you're like, it's sold for this price, right? Maybe it just sold, it's super fixed up and it's sold for $220. And then you're like, oh, great. It sold for $220. And maybe we're at like looking to buy it for $130, the one we're looking to buy. But then when you Google the address, you look and okay, it sold for $220, but it also 9 months later sold for $80.
Okay.
So what did that tell you? Somebody bought it, fixed it up, rehabbed it, made it look pristine, and then sold it. So then not only do you have, look, this is what pristine level the house is going to be worth.
Right.
This is what I might have to, if I take it back, this is what I might have to be selling it to an investor at, or else I'm going to have to do the work. Mm-hmm. So that can adjust your pricing and say, look, this house is going to need work. Here's what fixed up houses are selling for, but here's what the beaters are selling for. So you want to look at the comps, get an idea of.
Is that the same with notes? Because a lot of times you're not getting the house to fix it up. Someone's already living in it. So is that?
You always have to buy a note with the mindset that I might take this back.
Oh, that's right.
What if somebody dies? And if you don't figure out for worst case, you could end up with a loss.
Yeah. So you're always looking at value.
Yeah.
And always, because you might have to fix it up.
Exactly. Buy off of the, look at the comps. You got to look at the comps and see, and not just take the number. Sometimes the distances are way off. Sometimes I've seen people they're going out to 1.5 miles, 2 miles when I pull up and I'm like, look, these 4 comps are within 0.5 mile. Why did you not use these? They sold within the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Let's look at that. And sometimes they have a good reason, and sometimes, oh, I don't know. I use that one. So
That's weird. Have you ever been way off with the BPO when you ever had to go sell it? Or with your evaluation? And
yeah. So sometimes that's why you get them, because sometimes you can armchair something, really get it, do a drive-by. Maybe you've got pictures that are a couple years old of the property and you're like, okay, this is what it is. Properties are roughly selling for this. And somebody drives by and they're like, this one's beat up. A tree fell in it.
oh, wow.
So that could happen.
So you always want to get real-time pictures. And I remember one time you said when you do the Google Earth drive-by, you can always look in the corner and it will show the date that the photo was taken.
Yeah, it has the dates there.
But you want to get one of that week because they might have.
It's just, you want to have a live picture. You want to have somebody drive by, look at the property. This is what it's worth. This is actual pictures. Here you go. This is what you're buying. You wouldn't buy a house that we had pictures from 2 years ago, sight unseen, would you? You'd be like, no, I want to see the house.
No, that makes sense. Okay, you really broke down the BPO. So looking at the other one that's of importance would be the O&E. And tell us a little bit about the O&E. What's in it? The important parts of it. What do you look at first? What makes your buying decisions for?
O&E is like his title. I can go track. Usually they're gonna pull up all the mortgage and the corresponding chain of assignments, and then they will look for irregularities in the title. They'll pull up if the current owner doesn't match the mortgagee.
Yeah.
That's a big one on there. If something was sold to taxes, if there's past due taxes, how much are the past due taxes? If there's a recorded release of lien on there.
What is that?
Like if somebody released the lien, they satisfied the mortgage and then tried to resell it. Sometimes it gets attached to a property, and somebody may own multiple properties in the area and they do a mortgage release and it's just not the right property.
They released the wrong property?
Yeah, they'll release the wrong mortgage. So
how do they do that?
Because somebody will go in to pull up, an attorney is writing up the mortgage release and they'll pull the wrong property, or it might have.
So someone could be living in the house and not know that they're.
No, you have to, that's just, at that point, it's like you have to file like a wrongful release of mortgage and you have to go through the courts. You can get it reinstated and stuff like that. But most of the time, the person paying the mortgage doesn't know it's been released. So they're still paying the mortgage. And you're just like, that shouldn't have been filed. That was filed. Stuff like that happens all the time. Corrective mortgage release, stuff like that. You just have to.
Wow. And so that is also to where you'd actually look and see, hey, the taxes have been paid. They've been paid by somebody. Is that somebody, the person that's living in the house?
Right. Or it's somebody paid. Look in the house. You want to call up
County
and say, hey, if the taxes are there any outstanding tax liens on this? Yeah, you can call up and ask and they'll tell you, yeah, there is an outstanding tax lien. Taxes look like they were current. They are current. Person that had the tax lien is paying them, because if they pay the taxes and in 2 years, they can go get the property.
Wow. Okay. So that's pretty much everything with the O&E.
Yeah, you just want to have it. It's just going to look and see, is title clean? Usually they'll put stuff that's an issue in red. They'll draw arrows to it, say, here you go. Here's your title report.
Nice. Okay.
Let you know there's stuff wrong.
So now something just came up that I just learned on the way back from lunch. The difference between a title policy and a lender's policy. Explain
Both are title policies.
Yeah.
So title insurance, both are forms of title insurance. You've got the lender's policy, and that's for the lender. It's saying, look, it's insuring the lender. You're going to get it as a mortgage holder. If you're getting a title insurance policy when you're owning the property, or maybe you're doing it for a contract for deed. You're like, look, I'm buying this property. I'm buying the contract for deed and taking title to it. I want title insurance. And that's basically just saying from the day of closing backwards, we're ensuring the title's clean. There's no sort of liens, or if there is anything in there, they'll put exceptions on the property. And so there might be like, look, there's a tax bill. We're not insuring it for the tax bill.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Say, look, we'll insure everything in title with this exception.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yes, you can.
Huh. It's interesting. So what other documents besides that are of importance? If you were
just for due diligence that you're ordering, you can do stuff like assignment verifications that the chain is all there if you're not into just going through and doing it yourself.
Wasn't that what the O&E does too?
The O&E will do it. Yeah. But like usually an assignment verification is cheaper. So but you're not doing the full search. So there's like the whole pie, and then there's the little pieces of the pie. So you can order just the little pieces of the pie, or the O&E, which is basically a two owner O&E or a foreclosure O&E. That's like the whole pie.
Okay. So then what is the title search? Is that just another piece of the pie?
No, that's if you're getting a full title search. If you're getting a full title insurance policy, they're gonna
look through everything.
They're gonna get it all because they're ensuring the title's clean.
Yeah. That's interesting. And I see it from time to time where some people want that. Seems like on the platform, but I was always like, I thought it was, I may be wrong. Doesn't all that title policy transfer?
Yeah. So if there's always the original lender's policy, or typically there is, that goes when the mortgage is originated. And there's these little acronyms. It's successors and or assigns, ISAOA.
Okay.
It's successors and or assigns.
Okay.
Something like that. You'll see that in there, which basically means anytime the mortgage is assigned, that policy assigns with the mortgage.
Really?
Yeah. So it doesn't update to when the mortgage was assigned. It's just from when it was originated backwards. So if it's been assigned 3 times and a title issue comes up from whenever before the property was sold,
yeah,
then it would be covered because they have a policy from the day it was sold backwards.
Gotcha. So
now,
as a new buyer,
there was an exception.
I saw this as a part here. So as a new buyer, though, do you need it every single time? I just bought a note.
No, you don't need to buy a new policy every time. It's really, I always say, no, you don't. It's up to each buyer. Some people they're like, look, I want new insurance every time. If it's a $20,000 or $30,000 property, it's not a big deal. It's a couple $100. If it's
that's what I heard.
It's a $500,000 property.
Yeah,
it's a little more expensive. So it's just really.
But I also heard that too. So somebody recently was saying, hey, it's not a big deal for they're buying some loans on Paperstac. They're smaller ballots, like maybe the $17,000, but then they're buying a couple $100,000.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, look, they're like, we don't care about the one for this amount, but this one we want to know if we can get that policy. Right?
Yep. So it's really for each his own. Some people, yes, some people, no.
Okay. All right. So those are the things the documents for due diligence.
Due diligence documents. There's other documents. I'm sure that I'm brain dead right now.
It's an AVM.
That's just a different kind of evaluation. That's an auto valuation model. Basically, it's somebody not necessarily going out driving by the house.
They're just doing it online.
There's awesome things you can do also, like taking pictures. You can have somebody go by, take a lot of pictures of the outside of the property. PayPixel is a new company up and coming. They utilize.
Oh, we've had meetings with ProxyPix too.
ProxyPix. PayPixel is.
And we had
Bobby Quinn.
Oh, yeah.
Bobby Quinn's company. Cool. Yeah, out of Tampa. And they're actually doing drone footage.
That's pretty cool.
So you get drone footage of the front of the property. You can have a look at the roof, drive it in, and you can have it pretty quickly. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So how does he do that if he has to have a drone in the area? How does he do that?
We're diving into his business model, but it's like he's got the platform and he's got a bunch of different. He's got a bunch of different commercial drone operators around the country that have signed up and.
Gotcha. So he's like the Uber. Basically, they come onto the site and he gives them the jobs.
Yeah, basically what you do is it's just like an Uber thing. Exactly. It's fantastic because he's going to start integrating that in with BPO companies.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So you can get almost live footage of your property.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
Make a video of it, peeking in someone's window, waving at them. A drone.
It might get shot out of the air.
It might get shot out of the air.
Depending if you're in a rural part of the country.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Yeah. So
that's cool. So is that pretty much all the really good docs that you do?
Yeah, that's the obviously other than looking through the actual
collateral file. Yeah,
obviously, other than doing that, this is we're past that. We've armchaired it. You may have even looked up past due taxes already to now.
That's really hard to do if you're taking out a full, right?
That's why it is mind numbing. Like the due diligence process. If you're buying 100 assets, if you're doing 100 assets, you're taking it and you're handing it off to somebody. And so I guess that's something else we could touch base on. There's services out there that will actually do the do for you.
Which are?
They'll do the do. They'll do the due diligence. Oh gosh, there's a guy we always bump into and I've used him, Rich. Fantastic. I'll give you like a real life example.
Go up to him at the Note Expo or something?
No, not at Expo, IMN. Rick Bisson.
Oh, yeah.
Bisson.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was buying 2 assets from a company, from a broker. And they were both Florida assets. They looked pretty good. I knew that they were non-performing. So what I did is I just said, look, I ordered the BPO, I ordered the title, and then I just gave it to him and his company. And he was like, look, I need pay history and I need servicing notes as much as you can get me. So I gave them everything. And man, they were digging through and they went through the servicing notes like line by line and ended up finding something that said in the servicing notes, there was a drive-by, and it was buried. I don't know if I would have found it, but it said, the house has extensive hurricane damage because it went through Hurricane Michael. It was up in the Panama City. And it's just one of those things where it's, dude, so they'll go through there and they'll grade everything from the asset. They'll grade the collateral.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And they'll give you a detailed report on how critical it is. And they'll fluctuate the rating based on what you think is critical, what you don't think is critical. And then they'll give you this Excel spreadsheet and they've got all the notes, all the details, all their findings. And so then you're just reading reports and saying, yes, no.
Yeah. Wow.
As opposed to doing, like you said, it's mind numbing. But I did it for just 2 assets because I was like, I want to test it out.
Yeah.
So you're buying 5, 10 assets, but it costs you some money. I want to say it was like $189 or $289 per asset. It's the cost of doing business, right?
Yeah.
You look at it and you say, if it saves you from spending $100,000 on a bad buy,
Yeah.
and you don't have to rely on yourself, you don't have to do it all because you can't always wear the Superman cape. We always try, but we have to say, look, delegate, let somebody else, let them do that.
That's what they're specialized, right?
Yeah, that's your specialty. And so you've got other things you can be doing. So yeah, there are services out there. Yeah, Rick Bisson is his name. Drawing a blank on the company, but
I remember it was maroon. That's all I remember.
yeah, maroon and white. Maroon and white. So,
I can't remember. Yeah. But they're at the booth across from us at I am in Miami or Fort Lauderdale.
But yeah, I see him at just about every event. He calls me every now and then.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, cool. I learned a lot here. Now,
and there's other ones. Casey Wilson is one I can remember. Richmond Monroe. They'll do that stuff for you also.
They will?
Yeah, they'll do like collateral review for sure. They'll look at like Richmond Monroe, I think does a full collateral audit for $125 where they'll go through piece by piece, do it all for you.
Yeah. Wow.
It's great. You start adding all that up though.
Yeah.
Your due diligence you can spend some money on due diligence. You can spend $500 an asset pretty easily.
That's why I was about to say that someone we know says they put $500 towards every asset.
For due diligence, right?
Yeah.
So that's why if you can get good at running some basic valuations and getting an idea up front what's going on with the assets,
It'll save you some time.
nobody likes to spend $500 and then come back and you're like, dude,
That was a waste.
that was a waste. This house is knocked over.
Yeah, that sucks. You could have figured that out on your own probably, huh? Interesting. All right. You're looking for due diligence documents. Is there somebody to go? Somebody that we know in the industry that we should introduce them to?
Dickie Baldwin, BAG.
That's right.
BAG. Dickie, he's got a one-stop shop for due diligence. So if you need something, go there.
It's in the bag. I think that's what, there's just a slogan, something like that. I forget what it is. But yeah, all right. That's going to do it for this episode of doing the due diligence docs and stuff like that for evaluating notes. So if you have a topic you'd like to cover, I would like to have us cover, just let us know. And if it's no related, go break it down and
We'll talk, discuss, dive in and share our knowledge, whatever it's worth.
Yep. So that's it. We'll see you on the next one. See ya.